What's happening, team? Liam from Lazarus Personal Training. In this video, I'm talking all about gyms reopening and what my thoughts are about it, and that being that actually I'm not super excited for the gyms reopening. Before we start this video, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because it massively helps, and I'm pumping out content about training and wrestling training. If you want to get in touch and talk about anything in regards to your training, hit me up on Instagram because that's probably the best place to get in contact with me, and I am Lazarus_PT. As a word of warning, I am pretty sure there is a goose across the road that will make some noise through this video, so we'll wait and see. Hopefully Trevor is being quiet today. Unlikely. So in this video we're looking at gyms reopening in the UK. This video will be coming out on Wednesday, and we are scheduled to reopen the gyms unless something massively goes wrong in the meantime. We are scheduled to reopen gyms on Saturday the 25th. Now this is slightly after what a lot of people expected. A lot of people were getting amped and ready to go on the 4th of July. That didn't end up happening. Pubs reopened, but gyms didn't. You can argue about that one in the comments if you want to. I mean, personally, I think that's a bit ridiculous, but that's by the by. Gyms are getting scheduled to reopen on the 25th. If you are on any sort of like fitness pages, if you follow gyms, you will have seen them amping up to get ready to go back into the gyms. And rightfully so, because a lot of people are excited to go back in again. I'm sure they're excited to get started up again. It's always good for their business. Obviously, they're able to operate, and with so many gyms operating at a smaller scale, I mean, even not operating at all, it'd be fantastic for that industry to get restarted again. However, I am not super excited to get back into the gym again. One of my main things when it comes to coaching people is programming for people. I hold myself in a high regard when it comes to programming. I like programming. I love the creativity that it brings. I love being able to program something that is set for someone's goals and needs and is specifically programmed for them. So when we were coming back into the gyms, or at least when we're coming back into the gyms, what I wanted to do was to be able to give people a good program to go at that is specific for whatever their goal is. Take you back to the beginning of this year, I did exactly the same with the people that I was working with in the gym. I had stuff programmed for a good 3 months where we could chop and change if we needed to, and I had that structure in place. It meant that they were prepared to go back into gyms after the Christmas break, and it also meant that I was more comfortable knowing I've got this set and ready to go for a long run. Come to now, and come to the last 4 months, it has been a case of going, I'll program for now, but I don't know what this is going to look like after another month. Do we go back into gyms after another month? No, we've got another month of being at home. It gets to a point where it's like there's only so many bodyweight exercises that you can do. And now going back into the gyms again, what was exciting before now fills me with a little bit of dread, because being completely honest, I don't know whether the gyms are going to be quiet. I don't know whether they're going to be busy. I don't know what they're going to look like in terms of being in the gym. Is everything in a box? Can you move things from place to place? Some of the stuff that I used to do, say for example, big med ball throws, am I going to be able to program those in? Is that going outside the box? Can we go down tracks? Can we use sleds? Can we use prowlers? There's so many questions that I have in regards to programming that I sat down and I tried to write stuff, and I just went, I don't know what this is going to look like. And I'm not even sure what I'm going to do going back into the gym again, because I don't know what it's going to look like. I have not stepped foot into a gym, and I'm hoping that in this coming week I get a chance to go into the gym so I can start framing stuff up. But there's a good reality that I might go back into the gym when everybody else goes back into the gym. And that is quite a scary thing to deal with for me, where again a lot of my stuff comes into pre-planning, and then I'm going to have to work on the fly, which is doable. It is doable. It just leaves me with an added stress that personally I don't really want. I am pretty sure that I won't be in the gym on the 25th. When the doors reopen on Saturday, I won't be in line to get in there, mainly because that's not a day that I usually work out. I usually work out Monday to Friday in some sort of routine. My weekends I have off, so I'm not going to go out of my way to go into the gym on Saturday. And likewise, when I go in on the Monday, I have clients that I work with on a one-to-one basis on a Monday, so I'll be working out then because I'm in the gym. But I'm not in a massive hurry to get back into the gym, if I'm being completely honest. However, on a Saturday, usually I'm at wrestling training, and the place that I go to, UKW in Batley, is open, but they are running on a booking system. And unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough to book on. So that means that myself and Ella are both on wrestling training on Saturday, which is something that we usually do. And I think that's going to be a case for a lot of people where maybe in smaller gyms where they're having to operate on a booking system, you might end up missing out on your time in the gym, or you might end up missing out on your time in wrestling training. So all in all, Saturday the 25th for me looks like every other Saturday that I've had for the last 4 months, being at home. And with that, like, I still feel a little bit funny about going to shops. Again, me and Ella went to Crown Point in Leeds recently. We bought some stuff for her to do like arts and crafts with. And just going around and, like, yes, we were wearing the masks, obviously, we're looking after each other and we're looking after other people. There's just something about it that I almost don't feel comfortable with being back in a public space again. And I don't know whether that's like me being overcautious. I don't know if that's a general consensus. Like, I've seen people just going around like nothing's changed, but for me, like, there has been things that have changed. There was a little kid that was coughing as we walked past, and I was instantly like, why is he out? Like, why is he not at home? And I think that's going to translate into the gym, and there's still part of me that is slightly worried about contamination on the equipment, making sure stuff's cleaned, and then actually being able to keep up with the cleaning, because it's going to get to a point in the day that I know I'm going to go, I've not wiped that down, or I've not wiped this down, just because we're human, and my mind is on making sure that the people that I'm working with are getting the most out of the sessions and not cleaning equipment. So I've got a lot of apprehensions going into it. If I'm being completely honest, I still think that we will get a second wave at some point very soon. I think that it is going to happen. I hope it doesn't, but from history and from the way people have acted and all that sort of stuff, I think once it goes back to normal again, there's a very big likelihood that we may end up with a second spike. And if we do end up with a second spike, the gyms close again. This again links back into that programming debate that I was having earlier on, whereas at the beginning of the year, yeah, I just programmed 3 months, because why wouldn't I program 3 months? Now, it's going to have to be a month-by-month thing until we almost get some more concrete evidence that we're going to stay open for a long period of time. I'm genuinely not sure what's going to happen, and I think that is the same for everybody. And while I'm optimistic that, yeah, gyms will open and then we're open again, I actually don't know. And that again fills me with a bit of dread in terms of, do I want to put a load of time into programming and making sure stuff's right for it to be ripped away from us? There were so many people that I were working with where we were getting on a roll and things were starting to pick up. To have this rug pulled out from under us, it is a hard thing to deal with. On one side, it's actually been quite a positive in that it's helped me start up my online business. Cheers, bike. It's encouraged me to do more YouTube videos and connect with people on a bigger frame. So actually, there's been quite a lot of positives out of it. The negatives have come from the actual implementation of workouts. Again, I think it's been hard, and again, I don't know whether we're going to get this second drop that comes in. So what are some of my approaches and tips that I'm going to advise as we go back into the gym again? Well, first and foremost, if you missed the first couple of weeks that gyms and training centres are reopen again, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. We've had 4 months where we've been out of the gym, and for some of us, we will be dying to go back in there. I know, like, there is an essence of me that is ready and willing to go back into the gym again. It will be easier than constantly getting my stuff in and out of a room. But on the other hand, if you miss the first 2 weeks because you can't get booked into a place, or just you're a little bit unsure on it, that's not the end of the world. Think about whatever your goals are. If your goals are just to get fitter and stronger, then there is still probably stuff that you can do at home, which leads me into my second point of, for probably a good number of people, home workouts will be just as good as what you are able to do in the gym. I made an Instagram post about this recently, that actually what we do at home now and what we will be able to do in the gym is going to be really, really similar, unless you've been in a position where you've not had any sort of resistance weights, you've not been able to get anything online, and everything that you've been doing has been body weight, then yes, there will be some stuff in the gym that you can do that you haven't been able to do at home. But say if you've got a set of dumbbells, or you've just got some resistance bands, the stuff that you can do at home is going to be similar probably to the stuff that you can do in the gym. So on that front, if you can't get into the gym, or like you just don't feel super comfortable with it, it's not the end of the world. A couple of weeks, maybe a month where you don't go in, everything will have settled down and it will be more normal by that point than it will be in this first week. I can guarantee this first week is going to be chaos, really. And the final thing in terms of my approach and tips going back into the gym in this little section is to do with strength. So for a lot of us where we want to get fitter and stronger, our resistance training helps our wrestling ability, and strength is a big component of that. You may find that you are weaker going back into the gym than you were being in the gym. And a couple of points with that: we've not lifted as heavy as we have been doing. We might have lost our form slightly in terms of we haven't done a movement in a while. So let's say if we are doing barbell back squatting, if we haven't done a barbell back squat in 4 months, then yeah, it's going to feel slightly awkward and slightly out of place. So you may feel like your strength has gone down, but you may find that actually you go back in again and that hasn't particularly changed. If you were doing like a flat dumbbell press and you can grab 20s and do exactly the same amount of reps and sets that you did when you were in the gym previously, on one hand that might feel like, oh yeah, I've not lost anything. But on the other hand, you then need to ask yourself, was your programming while you were in the gym beforehand actually doing any benefit to you, and were you pushing yourself hard enough? Because let's be honest, there should be some decrease going back into the gym again. And if you find that actually you're going in stronger or you are at the same level, you might need to rethink about what you were doing in the gym. My main tip, my main takeaway for you, if you're watching this video and what you're going to do in terms of going back into the gym again, is yes, we want a program, yes, we want something that we can follow, but it needs to be flexible. And this is where we need almost a higher level of understanding about the gym, rather than just going online, finding a program and then going into the gym. Because that's all well and good, but what if we can't get into a squat rack and do barbell back squats? What are we going to do instead? If we're following a 5x5 program, for example, can we stay with a barbell for that long? Or is someone going to come along and say, I need that bar? And actually, what can we do around that? They can't work in with us. If you've been on it for 20, 30 minutes, it's probably their right to use that bar just as much as it's your right to use that bar, unless you own your own barbell. So on that front, what I'm going to say is focus on your movement patterns rather than the exercise. So let's say, for example, you're programmed in with a barbell back squat. Okay, we can't get to the squat rack. So what can we do around that? Well, if you're strong enough and you have the capability, you might be able to get that bar up into a front rack position from a clean. Then we can do some front squats, but that might not be an option. What we could do instead of that is go to dumbbells and use a dumbbell for dumbbell goblet squat, still hitting that squat pattern, but that might not be the right load that you need. Or it might not be super comfortable to get up into position. So it might be a case where we go to a leg press and then we do some leg pressing that way. So we need to think about the movement pattern that we're putting in place. Something that I'm very wary of is things like pull-up bars and how we're going to be able to use those, and if we are going to be able to use those, because a lot of pull-up bars come onto equipment that is set up for something else. So say for example, the cable crossover machine usually has a pull-up bar on it. Now if someone's using that, we can't just jump into that space and do some pull-ups. So can we do things that are alternates from pull-ups? So it might be a case of using the lat pull down machine. It might be a case of rigging up a band to something and doing some pull down motion that way. It might be a case of putting pull-ups in outside of the gym so we still get that pull motion in. So again, we need to think about the movement pattern and how to overload that movement pattern rather than thinking of the exercise. And with that, it needs to take what you might just think as a deadlift and then go, actually, this is a hip hinge pattern that hits the hamstrings, the glutes, and the core. How can I work those movements if I can't do a deadlift? And then one final caveat to take away on that is, can you limit your exercise use and can you limit your equipment use? So, for example, if you have some dumbbells, you might need to superset, triset a movement in the same place with that dumbbell that hits a couple of different movement patterns, because let's be honest, we're probably not going to be able to go back, put it down, come back with another one, or have 3 or 4 dumbbells around us. But on that front, Like I said, with the barbell, it might be a case of once you've used it for 15-20 minutes, you need to put it back for someone else to use it. So can you use a different bit of equipment for a movement pattern that you usually do? Again, let's say for example, you're hitting a dumbbell row. You might not be able to use the dumbbell, you might not be able to get to a bench, so could you do a kettlebell row? Could you use a machine back row? There's all these things that we need to think about in terms of the movement pattern rather than the exercise. So when you're looking at your programming, think of it more as bulk and block exercises and patterns rather than them being all individual. So what are your plans going back into the gym? Are you excited to go back in again? Are you going to miss it for a couple of weeks? Are you just going to do home workouts? Maybe you found that home workouts are really good. Let me know in the comments below. If you've liked this video, give it a like, share it, and if you really like my content, again, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to get in touch with me, get on my Instagram, which is Lazarus_PT. I've been Liam from Lazarus Personal Training, and I will see you next time.